Hey there guys, it's Metro, and today we're going to do a little guide on the Vengeance Demon Hunter artifact known as the Aldrachi Warblades. And this is going to be an optimal path to take, once again with the 3 weeks of no raids in mind. Talking about some dungeon topics, talking about some raid topics, and overall the quality of the blade. So immediately you're going to notice some weird pathing, I think, when we go through this. It's really odd. I don't really like this artifact. I think this is my least favorite tanking artifact, and a lot of it is just because I feel like they don't know what they're doing with this class. Like, the mobility and the kit in general for Vengeance is so cool, but they're just missing something. And normally you would think the artifact is going to bring that. But outside of the golden traits, I feel like almost every point in this artifact is really bad. And we'll talk about that as we go. We're going to look at the talents too, because some of these massively affect talents, okay? So, first things first, obviously you have to start with Soul Carver. There's no options. I guess you could not start with anything, but I wouldn't recommend that. I think you're going to want to put points in. So what I did originally was, of course, then you have to take that. But what I did originally was then go over here and down this way. When I first started playing my Demon Hunter, I went this way, and you're going to see why that immediately becomes an issue, because then you are not getting a gold trait until you've already started with like the difficult points, right? So your 100th or your 10th point, the 1,000 one is there, and you have no golden traits yet. So I would not recommend this at all anymore. I think a lot of people agree that this is still the best. I think this is definitely the best thing that you can get on in the Demon Hunter from all three of these golden traits. But it's a bit it's just not a very good route, because as you're going to see here, these things are really useless. And unfortunately, a lot of the artifact feels that way. So the way you'll want to start when you're leveling your Demon Hunter is going down this route here. You'll take Shatter of the Souls. Shear has a 15% increased chance to shatter a lesser soul fragment from your target while you are below 50%. So that sucks, because below 50%, I don't know, man. I just don't like stuff like that. That should just be all the time. I have no idea why they're trying to make it so below 50% is a good thing for Demon Hunters. I don't like that at all. And then here you have your first 1 point trait, and it seems like that'd be a good thing, but it's really weird. Empower Wards increases your agility by up to 15% for 10 seconds based on the magic damage you take while it's active. So of course, Empower Wards is your AMS equivalent, but why would I want agility? I just don't understand this. Like, who's coming up with this stuff? It makes no sense to me. Like, all right, cool. I guess that's all right. But when you look at this compared to the other 1 point artifact traits, especially in Blood, it's like they're not even on the same level. They're so, it's just the distance is so great. I just don't understand it. I really don't. And I don't like this at all. I hate this. This is like, I feel like this is completely useless, first of all, because second of all, there's so few specific situations that I can find in dungeons where you're ever going to take a large damaging hit from Empower Wards is like, it's such a niche spell in 5-mans, right? And it's probably going to be great in raids, but even then it's like, oh great, I get some agility, great, more damage, that's useful. Now here, this is probably the first actual good trait on the entire artifact that we've come through. All of the ones considered on this side as well. Firebrand is really an underrated ability, I would say. And I think anything that synergizes with it is going to be extremely useful. But here you'll see Firebrand also increases fire damage you deal to the target. Now that's extremely important for some other parts on the artifact, but we'll come back to that. And then you're going to get your first, let's see exactly when you get it, 525. I think that's faster. I don't know, maybe not. But either way, you're going to get this really quick. And this is a really, 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 really good thing to have. You have a chance to activate Metamorphosis for 5 seconds each time you consume a soul fragment. So let's talk about reasons that this synergizes really well with certain talents. All right. First things first, this makes soul rending feel almost mandatory, because every time you go into Metamorphosis, you have 50% leech. So let's go back to talk about this. You have a chance to activate Metamorphosis for 5 seconds. Pretty long time, 5 seconds, each time you consume a soul fragment. So basically, with this talent, you then have a 10% chance it is to just gain 50% leech for 5 seconds, and that's not even on top of the other things that Metamorphosis does. Like, just forget about those. You are giving 50% leech every however much percentage to 5 seconds every, however long it is. So that's insane. This is really, really good, and I feel like this turns this into mandatory. I really like Fracture. I don't like Feed the Demon, but I really like Fracture, and it's a shame that because of Soul Rending, synergizing with this artifact, it's going to be crazy. On top of that, we also have Fallout here. Immolation Aura's initial burst has a chance to shatter lesser soul fragments from enemies. So once again, every time you consume a soul fragment, then yeah, that happens. So like yeah, as you see, there's a lot of synergy, especially with their like fast-paced kit. So I think that is the best way to start, no doubt. It's going to change the playstyle without it. It would be a lot more difficult to survive, and I made the mistake of not getting it on the beta, and I immediately understand why people are saying that is where you want to start. So then from there, there's not really many options. It's very linear artifact progression, so we just have to keep following it. But so you'll keep going before you hit that like exponentiated curve, and you'll be able to get 3% parry, which is probably good. And then this is it. This is like the best trait on the whole freaking thing besides the golden ones. And honestly, I think this is rivaling the golden ones. Increasing the duration of Fiery Brand by 2 seconds. On top of this, Fiery Brand also increases fire damage you deal to the target. On top of this, and on top of this, are insane. Like these 4 things in a row. If there was a way that you could just get all 4 of these first, it would be, that's all you would need. Like the rest seems irrelevant compared to that. And then the same deal we have here, right? Like it deals 50% increased damage. So that's, that synergizes with this, and with this. And of course, anything else that synergizes with that, Immolation's Aura also shatters lesser self, all that stuff, So yeah, it's really, really, really good. All of these things together are insane. So now you've put 1,000, you're at the 1,000 point, and now things start to exponentiate. But it's only four more points in to get your second golden trait, so that's pretty cool. Charred Warblades is indeed what you want second. You heal for 15% of all fire damage you deal, and as you see, there's an immense amount of fire damage options, especially if you're doing this here as well. Flame Crash is another really good synergy with those ideas. If you take Burning Alive, right? So Fiery Brand switches, and then so say here let's go through it in our heads. 2 seconds longer. Fiery Brand also 30% more fire damage, and then you take this, so every 2 seconds it jumps. So now say, this could exponentiate, right? Like it jumps once, and then it's on these 2 things, and then it could jump again from there, you understand? So it can be on every mob. So say you're fighting 10 mobs, you pop that, and then they all are, making you do more fire damage. So Flame Crash and, of course, Agonizing Flames is doing more. It's just, like, insane. And then you're healing from that. You know what I mean? So I think this class has the potential to be, like, the most... Like, it stacks up so high. All these different things are so insane. But, like, their basic focus, whoever created this, is just, like... I feel like they're a little confused. But anyway, it's really, really, really strong once you get all of these. Like, I feel like once you complete this artifact, you're stronger than any other tank with just the artifact completed. But yeah, after that, I would definitely not recommend going this way. I see a lot of people just going and filling out the rest, but that's not smart at all. Like, I don't care how good these are. Even if they are good, they're not. They're horrible, by the way. I mean, Soul Cleave healing for an additional 3%. That might be all right, but increases the damage dealt by Infernal Strike. Like, what are you doing? And this is just way better. So you're gonna have to take this either way, but defensive spikes is pretty good. Extra parry is always good for this kit. And then of course, here is where things start to get crazy. Increases maximum health gained from metamorphosis by an additional 15%. All the way back to here, fueled by pain. It's just they're so, like, they synergize so well. It's awesome. And then finally, this one's cool. Each soul fragment you consume reduces all damage you take by 3%, and of course we already talked about different ways that you could increase the amount of soul fragments you consume and do more damage and all that stuff together. So yeah, that's everything. I would definitely recommend going this. So we're going to be at the 105k point at this point to get this in, so this is going to be many weeks, but yeah, either way you can get, let's just go through it one more time. So you can get all of these like this now, especially since we know we have 3 weeks. This you'll get before leveling. It's a very straightforward path. There's no real deviation needed, so you can get this very quickly. I honestly I'm telling you right now, this is going to change the way you play the game. Without this, the spec is not complete. And then these things down here are insane. So like, yeah, you get, this is the 1,000th. This is like where things start to get a little bit more exponential. And then from here, all you need is 4 more to get the charred Warblade. So you'll definitely have that within 2 weeks or so, and then raids will open, and that'd be great. I think this is going to really, this and this basically are going to really go nuts for Demon Hunters. This is a little bit more difficult to use in raiding, but I think it's going to be good overall. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about the Vengeance Demon Hunter artifact, let me know. Otherwise, we will see you guys in the next video.